What's happening, folks, in Bikeville? It's Pete with BackDraft Bikes. We're going to demo something you're probably waiting for. Here it is. 2022 Pan America. Hey, I appreciate you supporting the channel. I do have some new merch in. If you want to wear one of these cool shirts and look spiffy while doing it and supporting a good cause, please check out the link in the description for our merchandise. If you've been on my channel, you know that I owned a 2021 Pan America special, and here I am demoing a 2022. Did Harley Davidson change anything? Did they fix anything? Is everything the same? Let's find out. So here is a 2022 Pan America special model. Just to bring you guys up to speed, if you don't know what the Pan America is, this is the new adventure bike that Harley's trying to market pretty hard. The special edition comes with a few extra goodies such as crash bars, a nifty little Pan America emblem thing. It has adjustable suspension on the fly, which also allows you to lower the bike down several inches when you're at a stoplight if you're short. It's very handy. And even if you're not short, it just is a little bit more stability at a stop. A couple things about the Pan America that you might not know about. This has the 1250 Revolution Max motor. This is Harley Davidson's brand new motor. They've been making it now for about a year and a half at the time of filming this video. It is a liquid cooled 1250cc engine, variable timing. Lot of new things. This motor was never made prior to, and because of that, if you watch my other videos on the channel, you might notice that I had some heartburn with mine. Now, some people have said that there is oiling issues, there's heat issues, the exhaust pipe header heat shields break off because the welds are crap. There's all types of first year issues, but the 2022 Harley says they have fixed everything and there is no trouble with it at all. So, you know, on a demo ride, I'm not going to be able to see the long-term livability or truthfulness of those statements, but they are telling me that they've made changes to the performance of the engine. I don't know about that. I'm not sure I believe that. What I can tell you is that it's blue. They discontinued the Baja orange or creamsicle color, and now they have this blue color with the white fairing. That does add an additional $400 to the price, which is kind of nuts. This bike, as it sits, is about $24,000 with the muffler, crash guard, the ABS package, the adaptive ride height package, and of course the tire package. So again, it's a cool bike. It's not for everybody. Harley did some things right with this bike. It's not overly ginormous. My BMW GSA is like super duper wide compared to this one. The front is nice and sleek. After you add the Harley bags on this, it becomes very wide. So it's a little deceptive when you're riding it because you have to be careful you don't clip the bags on something going through either splitting lanes or even going through the woods. A few things, the design I'm not super keen on is a coil pack on the side of this bike with wires just sticking straight out. And I've asked Harley why they did this, and they just said, well, they needed to put it somewhere. But coil packs are, I don't know, not super common anymore. Most people just do the coil pack right on top of the spark plug, and unfortunately Harley even does that. There's a spark plug buried in the top of this up in the gas tank area, which you have to remove the tank to get to, so that's kind of a pain, especially if you're in the woods. The other thing that's kind of crazy with this is if you do have to remove the tank, there is a fitting right there. It's like a stainless steel quick connect fitting type deal that's really difficult to get on and off, and you really have to finagle to get in there. So and then there's a wire that goes to the fuel pump sending unit that really you can't disconnect at all, so it is very cumbersome to get to the parts on this. But the bike itself is cool. You sit up nice and high. It's an upright riding position. Again, brand new Harley Davidson concept entering the market. And for 2022, they did update, and this can also be flashed in your other one. They did update the display a little bit. The camera is probably going to make it a little choppy, but the fonts changed. They made it a little bit bigger and easier to read. You can see this is set up on the kind of like the performance mode, but there's a few different layouts that you can actually do for this. All right, shall we get on it and see how she rips? Yes, we shall. Okay, we're on the Harley. Let's get us started. The clutch on this is pretty bad. Look at it, it's already starting to go on me. Okay, so the display is set up nicely. Bigger, much bigger font on it than the 21. The engine sounds like it's got a bag of marbles in it, but I assure you that is the normal sound. So this bike is extremely fast. Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now, bud. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this bike. Just did some little bit of hot laps there on the back side of the track. As you can see, the bike is very good at its power delivery. I dare say it is the fastest Harley Davidson that leaves Milwaukee or Pennsylvania. I think this one's built in Pennsylvania. It has some definite juice, but it's not an off-the-line type of bike where you just put it in first and crank it. I mean, it takes a while to get the power delivery to where it needs to go. And then once you're up in the upper RPMs though, somewhere around, I would say 3,000 RPMs, you feel the bike really come into its own. And it pulls pretty hard right up to redline, although it does seem to flatten off right around 8,000 RPMs. That being said, the enjoyable power band on this is quite extensive. And again, compare this back to Milwaukee and what they produce. Most of the Harley Davidson bikes that are out there, you're not really bringing them much above, what, 5,000 maybe? I don't quote me on that, I don't remember. And then of course this bike handles really well too. So just like right in this range here, the power's there and the bike wants to go. In fact, you feel the front wheel just gets a little loose. It's quite impressive for the power. When I first drove the 21, I will tell you that I was greatly impressed with the power delivery. I was like, wow, this bike has so much get up and go, as opposed to a normal run-of-the-mill Harley, and then all of like the 650 class type motorcycles that are adventure bikes, right? So I'm actually going to set my cruise control, because I wanted to see, the cruise control switch is really clunky on this. It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really feel very good. It feels kind of like you got a pencil in a jar of marbles. But regardless of that, I don't want to speed, because there's obviously want to obey the law, but there's a lot of police on this road right now, and this bike is deceptively fast. It doesn't feel like you're going as fast as you are, and then all of a sudden, license and registration. So I just talk a little bit about the riding position. Now, so comparing this bike to another Harley Davidson is not really something you can do, because there isn't another Harley Davidson that's like this. However, if you were to compare this bike to some of the other adventure bikes that are out there, that would be a pretty good comparison to make. If you think about like a GSA or a BMW GSA 1250, 1200, or perhaps even, you know, one of the KTM bikes, Harley is really trying to get to that market. But they're just so late to the ball game. I mean, how long has the GS been made, right? I mean, it's been made for 40 plus years, right? So it's just, they're just really late to get to the game on that. But you would expect Harley Davidson would come to that and they'd say, okay, we realize that we're not the big dog in the house, but we have the brand recognition, and we're gonna do some things that are a little different than others. So Harley has, said that we're gonna, we'll do the adjustable suspension that sags when you get to the stoplight. Okay, so no, there isn't another bike that has that, but there are bikes that have active suspension. And I am tall enough that that's not really a selling point for me, because I'm 6'4" and it's easy for me to touch the ground when I come up to a stop. Now, the ride height on this, the seat height I should say, is 31.1 inches or 789 millimeters. So if you're of a shorter stature, this is an adventure bike you probably could get into, because not only is the seat have adjustments built into it, but at the lowest setting it gives you the ability to be a smaller rider and still get on the adventure package. The BMW has some adjustability as well, but you really do need to be a little taller to be able to ride them, right? So that's kind of the elephant in the room. Being taller on this bike, I'm actually a little cramped. Like, my legs are beyond 90 degrees. They're probably 110 degrees bent, and my feet are on the pegs. I'm kind of crunched up. I know that if I put the seat in the high position, it'll give me an extra little bit, but it's really not a lot to be able to say that it's like real comfortable. My BMW GSA is nice because it has a little bit more leg room, but it has cylinder heads that kind of get in the way a little bit too. So, a little trade-off there. With this bike, riding this bike, with the cornering ability, the brakes are excellent, the power is excellent. The bike brings a lot to the table in the adventure market, and it kind of tells the other manufacturers, like, hey, take notice, we're making a bike now as well. But I'm not sure the other manufacturers really care, because they've already made the bike, and they've refined it over the years. So it'll be interesting to see what Harley does. Will they learn from some of their mistakes? Now, on my bike, I ultimately did end up selling it because I had too many mechanical issues, and I just got really frustrated with the back order situation. And I understand it's not exactly Harley's fault with the way COVID destroyed, the logistics system, but it was disappointing to me, because here's a bike that is like groundbreaking for Harley Davidson to launch, and all of a sudden there's issues and you can't get any parts to fix them. So that's my deal. I'm gonna stop ranting about it and, you know, just kind of focus on the fact that these bikes are out there now. The 22 has some refinements. I do like the display is much easier to read. The starter doesn't seem to make the whining noise like it's made in the past, so that's nice. They said there's mechanical issues that have changed in this motor, but I'd really have to see something in writing to believe that, because it doesn't feel like much. The motor whines, and it winds up quick and hard, so that's nice. I mean, that power band is right there. I mean, that is a selling point on its own. Comparing this to the Sportster S, which has the same power plant, just differently, different cams, different power curve, I kind of like the Sportster a little bit better because it has more torque down on the bottom end, and to me, that is where usable power is. I mean, I don't need to go 1,000 miles an hour on a bike. I like the snappiness, because that's going to get you up to speed quick, and obviously it's a lot more fun too when you're driving back roads. So, all right, so I got into sport mode. We're gonna take it past the old lady's house here, and we'll crank it up once we get around the corner and give you a little taste. You should be able to kind of feel it. The one thing about this bike, it does get really light in the front end. Just doing that, you can feel the handlebars get really loose because it's an upright position and it's just a heck of a power plant. You can lose steering quickly, so you gotta be careful that doesn't get you into trouble. And in sport mode, the bike is very jerky on the throttle. You lose a lot of the smoothness. So I'm gonna take it down to a rolling start and we'll give you some. You ready? Here we go. Just like that, boys and girls. And plenty of stopping power. Harley didn't spare any expenses on the brakes. Well, 2022, you didn't change too awful much. So I do like the little different paint job, and I gotta love the power. I gotta go back to it. Like the dog returning to its bowl, it is a very tempting mistress. Let me know what your thoughts are. Check it out, take a drive, and throw some comments down below. Until next time, please ride safe.